So here's the quick review for Snapdragon by Kat Leyh, which is a middle grade novel about a girl named Snapdragon, who lives in a trailer park with her mom and her little doggy here, who has a run-in with the local weird old lady, who everybody thinks is a witch who eats animals, right? So as she gets to know her, she finds out what's really up with this whole magic thing, and also what's up with this lady and her connection to her family. So this book is pretty fun. It's very colorful, has very unique illustrations and character designs, as you can see there. The story itself is pretty offbeat in terms of like kind of what the neighbor lady is into, what Snap is into. Snap's kind of like the weird kid at school, so she's into some unique stuff. There's lots of characters of color. The main character is black. So's her best friend, and has a lot of LGBT characters in there too. So I would say if you just kind of want an offbeat, normal kid kind of story with some that shows like good acceptance of LGBT characters, then this is probably a fun one for you. Let's go. This is the spoiler review. I like the way the story starts off with, our town has a witch. She fed her eye to the devil. She eats roadkill and casts spells with bones. That's the kind of bull the dumb kids in my school say. Witches aren't real. She's just an old loony. But they say she eats pets, so I have to be sure. Right? So that's Snapdragon. She's looking for her lost dog, and that what leads her to interact with the town witch, who you find out is later is named Jax. So Snapdragon herself is a pretty independent kid. Her mom works a lot and goes to school, so she has to spend a lot of time alone and spend a lot of time taking care of herself. She's like the weird kid at school. Like, she has like weird hobbies. She likes horror movies. Later on she gets into like animal bones and anatomy and stuff when she's hanging out with Jack, so all the other kids think she's kind of weird. She's also a really like tomboyish kid. They do talk about it a little bit later on. Like, she talks to her mom that she's not really interested in more girly type boy. She's just kind of, and that's generally kind of herself. So she doesn't have a big arc in the story itself, other than getting a best friend out of Lewis, making friends with Jax, learning a little bit about her family history. But she's just kind of like a good, nice kid who is into some unique things. And later on in the story, of course, once she finds out Jax is really a witch, then Jax teaches her magic. And we'll talk about the magic a little bit later. And let's talk about Jax herself. So Jax is the local lady who lives there. So she's just kind of like a loner lady. And yes, she's actually a witch, you find out like halfway through the book. But she actually just collects roadkill, buries it until it's bones, and then resells the bones online. So a little weird, a strange hobby. So, or a strange way to make money there. So, of course, the kids think she's a little weird. Snapdragon, hangs out with her a lot, doing the helping her with doing the bones and things. And so, of course, you can see the pew pew bones, called articulation, they say. So she finds out a little bit about her backstory. You know, in her younger days, she was like a motorcycle racer, and you find out too she used to date Snapdragon's grandma. Which is what? Um, Snap finds a picture, and she's like, "Wait, that picture, this person looks familiar in this picture." So she goes to ask her, and she's like, "Yep, used to date your grandma." Boom, used to date the grandma. And they were very happy together, but grandma wanted kids, and Jax did not want kids, so eventually they parted ways. Eventually, Jax is reunited with grandma at the end of the book, which is pretty sweet. And so it kind of has a nice boom boom at Thanksgiving, so it has a nice happy ending. Alright, so next up is Lulu. So Lewis is a boy who lives near Snap, and they end up becoming friends because they both find out they really like horror movies. So so they hang out for a bit, and he's just a nice kid. Some of the other kids think she's weird, of course. His brothers too, but you know, they have things in common. They like each other. And Snap thinks he's weird, as you find out you find out later that Lulu is trans. So there's that Lulu's weird for, you know, wearing dresses or nail polish or that kind of thing. Eventually, by the end of the book, let's see if I can find it. Lulu does. Oh yeah, Lulu. Lulu does. With the acceptance of her family, kind of start living as a girl, which is cool. But Lulu's main story is just mostly just being Jax's friend, and it seems like it's like her first real friend, and hanging out, and them thinking magic is cool. That kind of stuff. There's one cool scene where Jax is practicing her magic, and she uses it to grow Lulu's hair long. Like quick. She's like, I'm gonna they're trying to practice the magic. I love the way that she does weird expressions on the faces. It's a lot of funny expressions. I feel like it could be memes in this story, but it's pretty fun. The mom's not in the book a whole lot. She's just a nice, caring mom. Like I said, she's real busy because she works at the fire department, and she's going to school, and she's hoping that when her semester ends, they can spend more time together. Yeah, she's a nice mom. That's mostly the mom's like contribution in there. She's very no nonsense type person, but very fun and kind of protective of her daughter and accepting of her friends and how her daughter is. And the last big part that makes up the story is like the magic in the story. Like I said, you find out Jax really is a witch, which at first you're just like, oh nah, she's just into, you know, she collects animal bones, and they just think she's weird. But she's like, oh no, I'm really a witch. So the magic system that they have in the story is kind of unique. They explain it kind of like they're using like life energy or energy from the world, but whatever it is, it lets them see like animal spirits and do some like, you know, like interesting magic. At some point they fly. Like I said, she makes little hairs grow. You find out through the whole thing, Lily's Snap is telling Lulu like this kind of like family urban legend about a one-eyed cat that her grandma saw and her uncle saw that, you know, scared them one night kind of thing. And you find out it was a fox that Jax actually accidentally ran into. And so she popped out her eye and fed it to the fox. And now they have a weird connection. Like, what? But there you go. So it's kind of like really like animal focused magic, I guess you can say. But since they both like animals, makes a lot of sense. Lily really wants to learn, so Jax decides to teach her. To be honest, it doesn't seem to be a whole lot to the teaching other than she just tells her it's like, it's a matter of will, you know. But you do get some cool stuff like with animal spirits and some cool magic stuff. So it's a very different kind of magic than you're probably used to reading some other fantasy stories, but pretty fun. Overall, we say this book is it's pretty unique in it's some of the story elements, its approach to magic, character design, representation. It has a lot of representation for LGBT characters and characters of color, so it's pretty fun. And also at the end, if you're the type of kid or teen or adult who's into drawing, she has a little section about how she does the very character character designs and how she did some of the panel work. So I found that pretty fascinating too as a person who doesn't draw. But if you were into drawing, it gives you an idea of how do you draw graphic novels and design characters. So that's it for Snapdragon. If you find this interesting, check out the read alike sections at the end, and see you next time.